Next, you have two parallel sessions to choose from. One is lean practices in vocational education. It's our colleagues in Turkey, together with Mustafa Akar. The second parallel session is the pursuit of excellence, is Faraz and Nima Gorbani. They run two very successful restaurants in Amsterdam, and they're going to be talking about their journey of applying lean. And here on the main stage, I already see Aeysha, Augustus, and Cepo Tobejane from South Africa. Very good morning to you both. Aeysha is from the Western Cape government. She's going to be talking about cutting through bureaucracy, eliminating red tape in South African government. Guys, you have 30 minutes. Have a great session, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you. All right, thanks, Roberto, and good morning, everyone. From South Africa, my name is Cepo Tobejane. I'm part of the Lean Institute Africa. I'm based in Johannesburg, and today I'm sitting with Aeysha Augustus. She's from the Western Cape Red Tape production. I'm gonna just introduce her quickly and then hand over to her. So Aeysha is a seasoned leader and professional in the public sector with over 15 years across various sectors within the provincial government. Her passion lies in helping the economy of the Western Cape flourish by leading the advocacy for lean management capabilities to reduce waste, trigger innovation, and make it easier to do business. She is the Deputy Director of Communications and Ease of Doing Business within the Red Tape Reduction Unit at the Department of Economic Development and Tourism, where, amongst others, they are spearheading the efforts such as Business Support Helpline Service, a national best practice that seeks to help business scale through the removal of red tape. Aeysha's favorite quote is, "If everyone is thinking alike, no one is really thinking." So leaning into a passion for wanting to create impact by being innovative and fostering collaboration locally as well as globally. Welcome and thanks for joining us, Aeysha. I hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Cepo, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for that beautiful introduction, Cepo. So today our case study is around the Western Cape government, and I'm leading the advocacy for lean management and building capabilities to reduce waste within the Western Cape government. So, yeah, it's just not. So just for some context, for those of you who don't know, this is South Africa, and our province is called the Western Cape, and we are situated right at the bottom in the corner where you can see. So we come from a very beautiful, diverse country, and we are also situated at the tip of Africa. In terms of the Western Cape government, we have 13 Western Cape government departments, and our unit, which is called the Red Tape Reduction Unit, is situated very neatly within the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. And if anything, this should tell you what our main goal is. And it's really quite simple if you think about it. So our goal, amongst other things, is to help grow our economy. After COVID-19, we realized that our economy had slumped and there were massive job losses. We knew that we had to do something and our economy was just not growing fast enough. This meant that we essentially had to make even more impact in terms of unemployment, but also this meant that we had fewer resources in order to make this impact. And we needed an approach to really look at how do we streamline our processes, but also reduce waste. After a couple of years after COVID, we launched our Growth for Jobs strategy as the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. And our goal is to make the province the easiest place to do business in Africa by 2035. Now, this is a very audacious goal, but in terms of the Growth for the Jobs strategy, it outlines very key priorities, and the ease of doing business in terms of the Red Tape Reduction Unit and what we do fits very neatly as an enabler to help economic growth. So in terms of our approach as the Red Tape Reduction Unit, we focus on various things. We focus on regulatory reform. How do we improve regulation? We look at business process improvements. So how do we improve efficiency and optimize? We also have a dedicated business support helpline for businesses who experience red tape challenges. And then we also have an approach which focuses on culture and communication. So in terms of lean management, it fits very neatly within our approach of culture and communication. So how do we create an ease of doing business culture? And it also fits in within business process improvements. How do we enable public sector officials to optimize processes and thus improve service delivery for citizens? And in terms of our approach, it does take a multi-year approach. So we've started through a few years, and essentially we're looking at providing officials with toolkits and skills, but most of all capabilities, such as lean management, in order to make the province the easiest place to do business in. So the question you ask is why an ease of doing business culture? Well, as I've said, the economy hasn't been growing fast enough. And in order for us to enable this environment, which has a lot of red tape in the form of regulations and processes, but our main goal is to impact business as our citizen. So many departments have their core function, that health looks at the patient, education looks at the student or the learner. And for us as red tape reduction and within economic development, our goal and our vision is to look at business as a citizen and how do we make it easier for businesses to function and operate within the economy. We then went back and we did a poll with all staff across the province, and we looked at the data. And the data actually showed us that there were many barriers to becoming citizen-centric. And amongst these barriers, many of the officials felt that there was red tape, which was about 62% of staff within the Western Cape government felt this. And also there was an insufficient understanding of citizens' needs. And then we also asked staff, so what do we need more of? And I think the data shows for itself that officials felt we needed more skilled and motivated officials to look at the barriers to becoming citizen-centric. But we also need to be looking at collaboration and partnerships. And most of all, we needed to look at citizen feedback. So coming back to the data and looking at where we started on our journey, in 2017, the Red Tape Reduction Unit took an approach to explore this concept of lean. So lean was very much, within the manufacturing space, no one knew about it. But through the years, we advocated, we had many phases that we rolled out across the years. One of our key lessons learned was we cannot nominate or we cannot include singular officials. We needed to look at this from a team perspective. But because the environment wasn't as mature, we needed to continue with our advocacy. And this led us to work with Heritage Western Cape in 2023, where we actually decided to pivot our approach. Some of the things that I wanted to share with you today were some of the projects that came through from a phase which we called phase 2, and these were projects from public sector officials looking at focusing on business as a citizen. So this is Shane, and through the lean management training, he found a solution to enhance the 30-day payment cycle for the procurement of technical goods. Shane found out that all he needed to do after learning lean management, that he needed to put together a simple SOP and raise awareness and thus improve efficiency within his own team, as well as then improving efficiency for the business. This meant as government, we were then able to pay our suppliers much more efficiently and much quicker. And I'd like you now to learn about Michelle. So Michelle is also our director in the unit. And through the training, she found that she was able to find waste in a process when the key administrator was capturing information on our business support helpline, which I shared a little bit earlier. She found out that after applying the lean management principles, that the key administrator was spending too much time on certain tasks. This meant that the key administrator could then free up the resources and then focus her time more efficiently in other areas. And then I'd like you to meet Tia and Alexis, who works within the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning. And for those of you who know, construction is a massive economic and job creation enabler. And through the lean management training and the tools, they were able to identify root causes and solutions to the pre-application consultation process for construction in the province. So this was such a really good, I think, exciting case study that came through, because many times, officials will say, we know we need to reduce red tape, we know we need to take out the waste, but the lean management training actually provided them with that tools to understand how do we actually do it and how do we actually critically think about knowing which efficiency or which type of waste we thus need to remove. So then in 2023, we pivoted our approach. As I said a little bit earlier, we went through many years of advocacy, and we tried and we tried. And eventually we partnered with Heritage Western Cape to work on applying lean management to the heritage permit application process. And this was in partnership with the Lean Institute Africa. This was by far one of our best, and I think I would say best case studies. We had the entire management team of Heritage Western Cape. We have Michael, who is standing on the right with his full management team. We've got Anton from the Lean Institute, and this was really such a great experience in terms of improving the culture and improving the mindset from an organizational level into processes, and thus for service delivery for the citizen. So how we did this, we started with a 2-day introduction. So we got the whole team together, everyone came together. It was a little bit of a team building exercise because it was very important that everyone understood the key concepts of waste. You cannot have a senior manager attend, but then the process owners or those who are sitting with actual solutions on the front line of service delivery are not involved in the process. We then took the whole team through a 4-month accredited lean management journey led by the CEO. And I think his leadership was instrumental in making this a massive success. And I'll come to some of the learnings which they've shared a little bit later. So what is the context of Heritage Western Cape? Well, they wanted to look at how do they improve efficiency as part of service delivery. And why was this so important? Well, the heritage permit application process has a direct service delivery impact on the applicant. And Heritage Western Cape was very, very passionate about making this permit application process easier for businesses, but also looking at how do they reduce waste internally in terms of the organization and within the culture and within the team. So the problem that they were facing was that the lead time for processing was 15 days, and essentially they really wanted to reduce this down to 10 days. This was the goal that they went in when they did their A3 application. So initially they had many observations, and I think one of the key things that came out from the observation is that there was adequate human resources to meet the demand. They found out that they needed to actually just restructure where certain time was going or where certain resources were going. After looking at all the queries and all the applications, as I've said, they were looking at reducing that lead time. They actually found out that most of the applications or the queries resulting in the waste were around how to make an application and what is the status of my application. The team also did an amazing fishbone diagram where they really unpacked, what were the root causes of the applications and what eventually could they do in terms of using those different instruments that they've learned from the lean management system to ensure that the process was reduced from 15 days down to 10 days. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I thought maybe just to share this with the audience and to see how the team came together to unpack this. Now, bear in mind that before the training, this was the first time that the team had actually sit together and say, guys, how do we come together? What tools do we use? And the lean training provided them with the tools to do that. So some of the key learnings already implemented incrementally. So after the training, Heritage Western Cape went back, and these were some of their learnings. So what they did, they had some visual aids put up, which actually improved the quality of the applications. So this meant that in terms of those queries and the data, those numbers were actually reduced because they figured out that they need to improve the visual aids to the applicant, to the client, to the citizen, to the business. They also developed SOPs, which thus improved communication between committee members. This meant that everyone knew what their role was in the process, which actually removed duplication and it removed waste considerably within the team. They also created a shared drive. So this meant that in terms of their commenting processes for all permits and all applications, they were now able to share comments in a different, more digitized way, which resulted in faster turnaround times for the applicants, and this meant faster turnaround times for applications to also be approved. They also implemented color coding files. So the color coding files ensured that they could also improve efficiency within their own team. So when a file came in or a file was already seen or a file was incomplete, they could already see what needed to be done, what was done, and what should be parked maybe for some more checks. So in terms of this, they actually improved once again the turnaround times, but also the waste within their own team. So this is just, this is Michael, the CEO, and we asked him, so what has been the biggest impact of the training for Heritage Western Cape? Mind you that they did work with the legislative process. And many times we say that, with legislative processes, we cannot find improvements, but this was Michael's experience.
It's probably the biggest impact that this training has had on the staff of Heritage Western Cape is this mind shift that it is actually possible to find efficiencies and identify waste within the heritage application process. Prior to undergoing this training, we were very much focused on the legislative nature of this process, and it was very difficult for the team to see that improvements are possible within this process. And undergoing this with the team, it is, changed their mindset. It's brought a sense of self-belief that we can improve, we can create efficiencies, and it's created a new sense of optimism that is fantastic to see. And if we are able to get it right just a little bit with the heritage application process, it's going to have a fantastic value add for the citizen, and we'll be able to implement the same methodology throughout Heritage Western Cape in the various other sectors that we're busy with. So that has been phenomenal to see.
And then we asked Wasifa, who is a manager within Heritage Western Cape, so what do you see a link between red tape reduction and being citizen-centric? So essentially, as a government official, how has this opened up the mindset in terms of delivering citizen-centric service delivery?
There's obviously a link between what we do as government in terms of being citizen-centric, but this has really opened our eyes to how we actually are implementing that role and what is the citizens' demands and how we can assist better and deliver a better service with fulfilling our mandate. Red tape has definitely shown us that there is ways and mechanisms if we have been given the tools to do it, and not be so siloed out in terms of sticking to processes without finding root causes. So understanding the theory behind why there's a problem and what the solutions are based on the data and the stats provided.
And these were just some of the overall learnings from the team, also once again coming from the culture and the full team of Heritage Western Cape. So they said that data is critical in measuring performance and achieving target and continuous improvement. They found that evidence-based problem solving was essential in terms of innovation. They needed clear, smart goals. Coaching and mentoring cannot be undervalued. They found that having the coaching and mentoring from the Lean Institute really assisted them in understanding how to apply the Lean tools within the organizational context. They knew that they were problem owners, but they were also problem solvers. And I think this was one of the big things that I noticed sitting in these sessions with them, that the light bulbs went on and they found out that there are solutions that we can do, that there are ways that we can continuously improve. Psychological safe space was one of the most important things that came out through the training. And I think also from the team at Heritage, they found that having the psychological safety allowed them to improve. It also provided them with a space to share their improvements and innovations, being these process owners working on the processes every day. They found that understanding of Lean and the way it can be implemented daily. Many officials in focus groups even said that, even though in certain spaces I wasn't able to apply Lean, in my home setting, I was able to use those tools and I found ways and I found value in that in my daily life. And also they felt that Lean thinking became a way of working and a way of life. And I think that was really phenomenal to see. So in terms of post-training responses, we asked what was the most valuable part of the training for you? Many officials said that showing to the management team that they needed to listen to all the staff and realize that a lot of work is not necessary. We can cut out a lot of extra work away with a little trust. My apologies. And then they also felt that the most valuable part was the way in which it was demonstrated that preconceived ideas can hamper one's thinking, and that evidence-based decisions were far more appropriate. So once again, coming back to this notion of evidence-based, many times I think as government officials, we make decisions or in any context, but the question becomes, where is the evidence and how do we make those decisions based on evidence? So what are our future plans as the Western Cape government? We're partnering with the Lean Institute this year, who's also associated with the Graduate School of Business in Cape Town, for those of you who may know. And our plan is to actually scale the Lean training to about over 200 officials who we set a target on the introduction to Lean management. And for us, this is all about planting seeds. How do we plant seeds that Lean management is a capability, a skill, a tool set that any official in the Western Cape government can use? The only way that we are going to create this mass in terms of implementation is if we share the concepts of waste. Many officials don't even know that there are 8 different types of wastes. So once we start introducing these concepts, we are very confident, I think, that officials within the Western Cape government will buy into the notion of, yes, we know we need to do more with less. Please show us how. And that's what we're really excited about. We're also looking at building in-house capabilities for the Western Cape government. So here we are training 5 officials who will then be trained to deliver the 2-day introduction sessions in partnership with our Provincial Training Institute. Once again, this is about the planting of seeds and advocacy. So how do we continue the advocacy until it starts becoming the fabric within the Western Cape government? And here we'll also be looking at a transfer of skills. We're partnering with the City of Cape Town, and here we are looking at improving their informal trading application process, which is linked to the city's Ease of Doing Business Index. We're partnering with the Western Cape Liquor Authority, which is looking at improving the application process to apply for a liquor license. And then also within our own Department of Economic Development and Tourism, we're partnering with supply chain management to look at a key process that can improve how we do business. So if you look at all these processes, these are all business-facing processes for the Western Cape government. Once again, feeding into our vision of making the province the easiest place to do business in by 2035. Something that we are also very excited about is that we'll be working with our policy unit space, where we've seen that the Lean management training has been identified within the culture strategy for the next 5 years, and also looking at how do we include Lean as a capability within the broader people strategy that's going to be impacting 13 Western Cape government departments. So this is something that's in draft. It hasn't been finalized, but we are definitely in the process of impacting the space in terms of the policy and making those systemic changes. Some of our biggest lessons, I think that collaboration and partnership is essential. Keep talking, keep understanding, listening to what different department's challenges are. Psychological safety is essential if you want to implement any Lean program, if you're really serious about improving the culture, if you're really serious about removing waste, you need to provide that psychological safety for your teams to come together and to provide that leadership. Because sometimes leadership is not just from the top, leadership can come from the bottom. And if we create that space, we are creating even better leaders for the future. People, process, purpose always has to align. Coming back to leadership, if you want your organization to be lean, to improve, to drive innovation, you have to put your people first. You have to put the people and the process first, and you have to align your purpose with your mission. And I think most importantly, always continue for advocacy and identify systemic avenues for change. So within your organization, whether you're in government or you're in business, what are the systemic changes that you feel? If it's regulation, if it's process, find out what are those things that need to be leaned out and continue the advocacy as much as possible. From our side is the red tape reduction unit. I think at the Western Cape government, it's still a learning process for us, but something that we will definitely be doing is we'll be continuing to iterate, we will continue to improve, and we will continue to adapt. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for your time.
Oh, excellent presentation there. Thanks so much, Aeysha. Quite a lot of, amazing work that's being done there in Western Cape province. I think one of the words that struck me there, citizen-centric.
Yeah.
Because we normally speak about being customer-centric, but I really love how you managed to coin this citizen-centric. So
Yeah.
I don't see questions, but maybe whilst we're waiting for other questions is, maybe what you have seen as maybe your challenges, being, advocating for this concept of lean management, which is seen as something that's from the private sector or from manufacturing, and having to, introduce this concept within the public sector. What has been some of your biggest challenges, and how have you managed to go about addressing them?
Well, thanks, Jepo. Maybe just to come back to the citizen-centric part. So we've been driving citizen-centric very much within our culture strategy as the Western Cape. So it's really made it a lot easier. And one of the challenges, maybe coming back to your question, is that we found that we needed to start small. So we needed to start with a core group of people, and we did a ton of surveys. We asked people, we engaged, we did focus groups, we gathered data, we gathered experiences, and we used the data, we used the surveys from those 2-day sessions to then plant the seeds to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. And as we found out that many people didn't understand the concepts, we knew that we had our work cut out for us. So we needed to advocate even more. We needed to go to the top senior management, get the buy-in. And once the vision of what lean could bring to the organization was understood at a very senior management level, I think it then became a little bit easier. But the main challenge for us was advocacy, I would say, by far.
Okay, thanks for that. I do see we have a question there from Rory saying, so how do we measure adaptability, the key lessons for adjusting and continuous improvement well landed?
So we haven't, you're asking from a government context, how do we measure adaptability?
Yes, I would assume yes. From maybe in your
So
space, how do you measure adaptability, the key lessons for adjusting and continuous improvement well landed?
So in terms of adaptability, we often go back to the departments and we ask them, and we do engagements with them regularly to find out, okay, so what has the organization done in terms of improvements? So with Heritage Western Cape, for example, we have been in contact with the team continuously, having touch base in terms of what is the experiences been like. And what we found is through certain measurables of the key learnings that they've implemented, we found that they've actually started improving on each of those learnings per quarter and per year. So every organization is different, and I think it depends on the process and it depends on the culture of the team. But something that we've done is doing that M&E measurable, where we continuously check in to see where are the team struggling, where are they flourishing. And I think it's about just keeping the lines of communication open and documenting all the different processes and actions that have been taken. So it is still a learning space for us in terms of the adaptability quotient, but I can say in terms of not a qualitative perspective, but maybe a quantitative perspective, we have gathered those insights to speak to people about how they've adapted after the lean training and implementing those solutions. So I think just
excellent, thanks.
the conversation open.
Yeah, that's excellent. I don't see another one, but maybe let me just reflecting on, like in your presentation, we see a lot of good stories. The impact, are you seeing that, what is the impact of those stories as you tell, and maybe comment on the importance of telling the stories as well as part of the journey?
So definitely in some spaces, there wasn't much impact. So many officials struggle to implement in certain spaces. But with Heritage, we found that there has been a lot of impact in terms of those learnings, in terms of the visual aids and the SOPs and the processes that have been improved. So incrementally, there are things that are being done, and I'm very confident that I think after this iteration of this year's plans, we'll be seeing some more impact coming through.
Excellent. Thanks so
Guys,
much, Aeysha.
thank you so much.
And Roberto, thanks.
I
We'll see you back.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much for this great presentation. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much as well. Bye, everyone.
All right. So now you have